This is what coming home looks like, 10 years on from the Great East Japan earthquake. Hisae Unuma remembers being evacuated from her Fukushima home when disaster struck on March 11, 2011.
I'm almost 70 years old now. I don't think it's possible for me to rebuild my life here.
A magnitude 9.1 earthquake followed by a tsunami and a nuclear meltdown. More than 20,000 people were killed or reported missing. Hundreds of thousands more lost their homes. And to this day, parts of several towns near the nuclear plant remain uninhabitable. The meltdown caused radioactive damage, second only to the Chernobyl nuclear power plant disaster.
The government still hasn't decommissioned the nuclear power plant, and yet they claim everything's okay and tell us we can return here. What if another disaster strikes?
That disaster may not be far off in the future for the most populous city on Earth, just 160 miles away. Tokyo is due for an earthquake of the century.
It could happen at any moment, but there is about a 70% possibility of it happening in the next 30 years, and the government is preparing on the premise that it will happen.
Tokyo's metropolitan government calls it Tokyo X Day. A comic on its website illustrates a magnitude 7 earthquake hitting the city and ends with a bleak message. It's not if, but when.
But we are yet to have a clear plan for that specific situation.
Maki Saito is a disaster risk reduction advisor at Japan Platform, a nonprofit that specializes in emergency aid. When the earthquake hit Fukushima 10 years ago, the organization dispatched a team there within 3 hours.
We're still dealing with the aftermath of that earthquake. We estimate the region will need our help for the next 30 years.
If an earthquake like this were to strike Tokyo, a government estimate predicts the death toll could go as high as 230,000. A sobering warning came just 4 weeks ago when another 7.1 magnitude quake shook Fukushima.
If a tsunami were to hit Tokyo, the damage would be quite serious since the city is on low ground, but the tall buildings will allow people to evacuate.
Preparations to minimize damages in the event of a disaster are underway. Tokyo's buildings are famously shake-proof, and 3,000 evacuation sites are sprinkled across the city. The government also holds regular drills, as do schools throughout Japan. But the big question remains, is Tokyo ready for X Day?
No, I don't think we are ready. What's crucial is to make sure people have as much information as possible for every scenario.
Major international events like the Olympics have been cause for concern too. In 2 weeks' time, the Tokyo Olympic torch relay is set to start in Fukushima, a symbol of the region's recovery since 2011. Like the games themselves, the relay had to be rescheduled due to the coronavirus pandemic, a reminder that even the best laid plans may not pan out. Different torches were lit today, candles across Tokyo. And at 2:46 p.m., the exact time the earthquake struck, a moment of silence to remember the lost and all the pain suffered since.